Okay, so it's a little bit fiddly, but I have pinned. I had to add a few more straight pins, so if you have some straight pins in your sewing basket, you might want to pull those out. You could also very well use your glue stick and glue the pieces down. So you have some options. Anyway, so you have it there. Now, when one step I failed to show you at the beginning because I had already had my needle threaded, but this was a trick that I learned from a wonderful tutorial. To take, while the thread is still on the spool, you pull out a length. Just run the eye of the needle over after you've pinched the end of the thread. Whoops. Okay, little fiddly here. So you pinch the end of the thread. And always I think, oh, it's not going to work this time. And it does. And then just pull that through. Now you want to pull it through a decent amount. And then you're going to cut it at the end of your elbow as you're holding the thread. That's the length that you want to cut while it's on the spool. The thought is that you have your thread going in the right direction. You haven't threaded it through the wrong way so that the fibers lay flat as you're stitching. And then I just do a little slip the stitch at the end. Now we're ready to begin whip stitching your flower to the muslin. The other thing I did on my pastel cushion, and I'll give you this choice. I won't do it on my demonstration, but I went through, once I had whip stitched down, I went through and just did as if I was quilting a quilt, and just did the little stitches along the edges. Just whatever you'd like. I give the basic steps, and then however you'd like to embellish it from there, whatever you get a whim to do. So we'll just begin with our whip stitch. So we're going to come up from underneath and begin. And I'm not making any effort to try to hide the whip stitch. If that's your preference, then you feel free to do that. I also like the pink thread showing because I just love that soft pink. We want to make sure we don't get it tangled up in the pins. It's a little tricky stitching around them, right? So that will be your whip stitching around. You can see where the little muslin was attached to the yo-yos. That will be concealed when you stitch your calico backing. So I'm going to finish this up, and I'll come back and show you how we attach it to the calico.